So, starting with wedged clay, and I'll add it to the wheel in the same direction as the spiral, rounding it out, throwing it down, and if you don't hit the exact center of the wheel, just kind of come in and push it into the center spot. So that when you turn on the wheel, it's already kind of centered, so that a little bit more of that work that you have to do is already done for you. Add lots of water, and then quickly, like half a step, coning it up. And this is the only time when your hands are working on the opposite side of the clay. And after that, we'll be centering the clay. And to do this, kind of having a firm, rigid stance. So arms on legs is a good policy. And what I'll be doing is with my left arm is pushing the clay inward and upward, and the bottom one will be pushing it downward and outward. And I'll be balancing between pushing it down and pushing it in. And by switching between the two of these motions, the clay will become centered as long as my hands stay steady. The important aspect to consider is always that my hands are both working on the same side of the piece of clay. So pushing it down and in, and down and in, and down. And eventually, it will feel like it's completely dead on centered. It's something that just really takes a lot of experience. Most people take, at least 40, 50 pounds of clay before they really get comfortable at centering and opening the clay. So don't feel bad about taking a while. After I've centered this clay, then I can start opening it up. And what I usually like to do is I use my middle finger here as a tool, and I'll be pushing it down with my left hand. So just outside of the center, coming down, pushing it down, and pushing it. And the key thing here is that I'm adding pressure and not really forcing the clay to move, just pushing it down and waiting for the clay to actually respond. After going down what I think is far enough, I'll check the depth, and we're looking for just over 1 wall thickness. So if you're throwing a thicker wall, you should leave a little bit more clay at the bottom, and if you're throwing thinner pieces, then you probably don't need this demonstration. So after coming straight down, I'll come in and make my flat bottom, and also gloss over that step of compacting the bottom. And what I did for this, when I was creating this opening, is kind of creating a little bit of an undercut notch here, which gives me something to kind of pull up on this first pull. The clay has a tendency to fly outward, so if you can help, all of these steps are trying to bring it upward and inward. So adding a little bit of water for this pulling step, creating a little bit of a notch underneath it, and then coming in for that first pull. So both hands working together, wheel moving fairly slowly, and what I'm really paying attention to when I'm doing pulling is that I'm making sure that my hands are hitting like every line of the lawn and the lawnmower kind of guy. So it's you're paying attention that you're actually hitting every one of those lines and overlapping a fair amount. As I come in for that second pull, we'll be doing 3 pulls. Make sure that the inside and outside is kind of evenly smooth, and then a couple drops of water every time. Creating a little bit more of a notch down here at the bottom, slowing the wheel down just a little bit. And the second pull is, I think, one of the more difficult ones to do really well. And so I'm lifting it, kind of getting a notch of clay, and then lifting it upwards with that right hand. And it's really, I'll stop right here. It's really just working with just this fingertip is doing all of this pushing upward. The inside hand was just kind of supporting it just with this entire length of finger. And so all of the work is really being done with that one fingertip and pushing the clay upward and inward. And then as you get up near the top, on all of these pulls, get up to the top and you kind of ease off the pressure, let it go, and done. And so kind of a finishing step would be almost is coming in and making sure that the top of the piece stays really, really quite nice. If the top of your cylinder stays in perfect condition, then chances are everything underneath it is going to hold its shape as well. So that was the second pull, so one more pull, 3 pulls. And it's hard to count to 3, I know, but try to count to 3, do 3 pulls, and it's something that just encourages people to really get the most out of each motion that you're going through. And so this third pull, again starting at the bottom, slowing the wheel down just a little bit more, and again lifting it up. But there isn't too much clay to be moved around, so I don't think I'm going to get too much more height out of this one. So sometimes this can be just more of an evening out step. And as you get up to the top, letting go still. And some finishing touches here. One, again, keeping this top rim as compact and smooth as possible. And really want to see kind of a firm, bold rim here. That's one of the more important parts of each piece. And then down here at the bottom, there's always going to be some clay that your fingers just can't lift it up. So you just take that and trim it away using one of these wooden knives. And this kind of cuts just like a pencil. What we're doing is basically following this shape straight down, and we'll start cutting it with the tip of it and just going straight down. And then you can clean up, you can stop the wheel to clean it up. And then to finish the bottom, the easiest way is with a credit card tool. So taking the credit card that you can no longer pay off or whatever, and cutting it in half and then making a little bit of a notch there. And running that along there, and then maybe cleaning it as a quick cleanup step with your finger. And then for the beginning cylinders, the goal is really just trying to get it as tall and thin and even walled thickness. Even walled thickness is really the key on all of the steps here. And then after that, it's kind of getting it upward as much as possible. And not really worrying about shaping it or changing the shape of it at all. And then if you're working on the bat, you can cheat and you can pop it off the bat and let it sit on the table for an hour. But if you don't, then you have to take it straight off the wheel. If there's a lot of water at the bottom, make sure to clean up with the sponge, take out all of that extra water. And then to take it off the wheel, I need clean, dry hands. So finishing your pieces is good because it gives you a chance to wash your hands, clean them off, and then we'll take it off the bat. Okay, so now clean, dry hands. Can't emphasize that enough. Take the piece and cut it underneath the wire, and then to take it off, kind of put your hands on the farther outside of it, and you'll be pushing up off of the bat to lift it up, and kind of giving it a slight turn in the opposite way that we threw it, and we can set it down on the wooden border or whatnot. And you'll get a little bit of these finger marks. They really don't show up too much in glazing. They do kind of, so some people, don't worry about them. That's all I'll say. And then a good opportunity to take and slice your work in half. It's easiest not to cut it straight in half. There we go. And what you're looking for in a really well thrown cylinder is that the bottom and the walls have about the same thickness, and that there's kind of a sharp transition here between the bottom and the wall. So this is a well-thrown cylinder. It does get a little bit thinner up near the top, but that's okay. No one's going to complain.